you know, face-to-face classes or the hybrid classes, you will definitely feel like still, no matter what delivery of the instruction, you need to use technology. You need to consider technology-mediated tasks for your students. So this is why I'm here to discuss with you 4 areas regarding second language writing and technology. So they are digital multimodal composing, computer-mediated collaborative writing, computer-mediated peer response, and teacher multimodal feedback. So here I will discuss for each area the definitions and rationales, the research strengths. Particularly, I will draw on my own research studies or the studies I was involved with and show you the results of our findings, of our studies. And also, I want you to know a little bit about the pedagogical insights so that you can actually try to implement the writing, say technology-mediated writing tasks in your own classes. So basically, I will address the following technology tools such as WithMe, Wiki, Google Docs, Turnitin PeerMark, as well as Screencast-O-Matic. Okay, here we go. This is the first area, digital multimodal composing, DMC. I think all of you are familiar with it now, right? So I believe this is a new literacy practice in which the composer deploys digital tools to produce a text by integrating multiple semiotic resources. Why do we want to implement DMC in our own classes? Here are some rationales. Firstly, DMC supports writing as a discovery process of the ideas and more forms, and it is a means of self-expression and reflection for the students. Also, it is an effective way of communication. DMC develops students' critical thinking skills, digital literacy skills, and facilitates writing development. And also, as you know, DMC enhances learner motivation and autonomy, particularly when they are doing some certain multimodal task with the tangible real-world audiences, such as, I know some students, were required to do a YouTube video. They know the audience is really, really very broad, right? Then for second language learners, particularly, DMC opens up the new identities for them because such kind of tasks allow the writers to draw on their unique linguistic repertoire as well as non-linguistic alternatives to fully convey their meaning and showcase their knowledge of heritage language and culture. So a little bit about the research strands. Previous research has addressed multiple strands already in this area, such as DMC process. The researchers focused on how the students express their identity and voice, how the students orchestrated the multiple semiotic resources during DMC. And also, studies examine the students' perspectives, such as the benefits and challenges of DMC and the factors mediating the DMC process. And also teachers' perspectives, such as how the teachers invest in the DMC task and how they assess the DMC tasks. And also learners' outcome and development, such as students' learning development, particularly the language development, and other, broadly, learning development. Now here I want to share with you one research study I collaborated with a Vietnamese scholar. So this study was conducted with 185 first-year medical students enrolled in the ESP class at a Southern Public University in Vietnam. So basically, we asked some questions, including how did EFL students perceive WithMe as a tool to complete DMC tasks, and what are the qualities of the students' infographic products? So we collected the data from Quadrix survey, which consisted of Likert scale items and short open-ended questions, as well as their infographic posters. So here you can see what the infographic posters look like. So we actually require students to complete 2 tasks. So here is the first DMC task to create the infographic poster on how to control the high blood pressure to their future patients. And the second one is how to prevent COVID-19 infection. So for the relatives and friends. So as you can tell, infographics is such an engaging tool because it is innovative and engaging method of visually communicating the information in a colorful and concise manner. So here I want to mention why this is important, because as you know, all these students are ESO learners. That is to say, they are actually pursuing medical science. So as we know, in a current medical practice, the infographics becomes a very popular genre for the say health professionals to inform their audience, inform their patients, about a certain medical knowledge. So I think this is an excellent task for them, because they will definitely encounter a lot when they become a professional in the near future. Now, this is a technology we used that is called Visme. Visme is a tool that can support creation of infographics and other visual content. So we use the free version of Visme. So for example, students can use free editable templates in the free infographic elements, and they have also the drag and drop capabilities. Then what attracts us most is the collaboration function. So as you can tell, the students definitely collaborated throughout the process because they can commented on others' feedback, commented on others' texts, provided feedback, and they also annotated something. And as you can tell, the students actually were engaged in this discussion during the DMC process. Now, briefly, a little bit about the results. As you can tell, we asked the first question addressing their perceptions of the Visme tool. So students basically have a very positive feedback. They believed the Visme tool enhanced their learning experience. It is suitable and it is convenient, say for the infographic tasks. And also it enhanced their creativity as well as fosters writing development. Of course, students actually expressed some concerns. So for example, they are not very happy with the limited function of the free version. And also students mentioned some images are of the low quality, so on and so forth. The second research question addressed the students' the final products of the infographics. So basically, we evaluate their products according to this multiple trait rubrics. As you can tell, we have 3 criteria, right? Organization and content, multimedia and visual effects, as well as language. So we give them 1 to 5, the band here. So as you can tell, if the students reach the 5, the excellence band, then we know students are able to present and organize information very clearly, logically, and in original ways. And also they are able to fully address the topics with well-supported ideas, and the references are cited appropriately. And also in terms of the visual and multimedia effect, the students can still present the information creatively and effectively. They are able to use a wide range of semiotic resources, such as texts, hyperlinks, images, emoticons, tables, videos, so on and so forth, to construct meaning and engage audience. And in terms of the language, we want them to use the lexicons that are related to the topic. They are able to still demonstrate the knowledge in the field and also try to use English with very few errors, right? So we are very happy. The results are really, really satisfactory. So for instance, in terms of the content organization, they reached the average of 4.7 and 4.5, and for the multimedia and the visual effect, it reached 4.3 out of 5, and the language is 4.6 out of 5. So this is very good. Now, taken together, I will give you some pedagogical, implications here. So basically, DMC is definitely a very effective task. You want to integrate into the language curriculum as an innovative way of writing practice. And also, infographic task is appropriate task used in ESP classes, which geared to a student's real-life environment. And DMC tasks would not jeopardize opportunities for students to practice language. So as we know, because students get opportunities to, use semiotic resources other than language, so we are cautioned that the students should only not just focus on the images, not just focus on the other semiotic resources. Still, we still want them to attend to the language. Our study actually showed that we should not worry much about their use of language, because still they really attend much attention to the language, and also you can tell they reach the very high language accuracy in the writing products. Now, if you want to do the DMC in the future, please bear in mind you should have the well-developed grading rubrics first, and then you want to make sure the technology is compatible with the DMC tasks. And if you want to do collaborative DMC, you want to consider grouping factors. So that is to say, you can actually have the students report their self-perceived expertise. For example, whether they are good at writing, whether the students have a good command of a second language, or they have a rich knowledge of graphic design. If we consider all these factors, we can actually really have a very good groups for them. Then hopefully they will scaffold each other better in the DMC task. Okay, let us move on to the second area, that is computer-mediated collaborative writing, so CMCW. So this activity is now very popular, right? So it is a technology-based collaborative writing activity in which students negotiate meaning and writing tasks, co-construct texts, co-revise texts, and jointly produce a single text online through collaborative efforts. Why it is important? Because it gives students a lot of opportunities to practice their language, right? For example, we have already known that a lot of researchers reported students are engaged in deliberations about structure, form, and language choices. And also, students are provided with opportunities to apply the newly learned knowledge, particularly a new genre. If they are learning a new genre, they got a chance to collaborate together in the learning of the genre while writing. And also, CW promotes second language writing development. Here, in particularly, I want to address the importance of a computer-mediated collaborative writing. It offers learners the optimal opportunities to communicate and jointly write beyond the time constraints of the on-site classrooms. That is to say, students can contribute to the joint product anytime, anywhere. That is definitely also extend their learning experience and extend the learning, say opportunities as well, because they can do, at their own time asynchronously. And also, computer-mediated collaborative writing over a period of time well represents the authentic team writing project. We actually had a lot of team writing projects nowadays in the real life, right? If students practice collaborative writing that way, they will definitely be well prepared for the real life experience in their future. Now, a few research strands are discussed, such as interaction writing process, writing product and writing outcome, factors influencing online CW, and students' perceptions, such as the benefits and challenges and the peer group interactions, right? So, for example, in terms of the interaction and writing process, researchers discussed their discussion process, how they negotiate their languages, how they use language to solve problems, the revealing behaviors, and particularly the pattern of interaction. And I will show you in my own study here. And also writing products, the features and qualities of writing products that I will address in my study as well, and a comparison between the online collaborative writing versus individual writing, or online CW versus face-to-face CW, and also the effect on the individual writing development. Now, since I conducted a lot of research studies on collaborative writing, I want to share with you two studies here. The first study came from my dissertation that was conducted at the University of South Florida. It was in an EAP course at say USF. And the students are required to write the research proposal collaboratively. So the research questions are, what are the qualities of the wiki texts that small groups produced in the collaborative wiki writing environment? And the second is, in which ways, if any, do peer interactions link to the qualities of the wiki writing products? So again, this comes from my dissertation, but of course, my collaborators analyze the data and address the new research questions and figure out the connections between students' patterns of interaction and their writing products. So in terms of writing products, we analyze the students' overall rhetorical structure, their coherence of the writing, excuse me, as well as the accuracy of the writing. Now, here you can see the Wikispaces site here. I want to point out Wikispaces discontinued. However, I believe all these functions shown here are applicable to all the wiki applications. So for example, edit gives the students to contribute anytime, anywhere. You can revise, you can edit, you can compose, right? Very freely. And also discussion, like the discussion threads, right? So you can contribute to the collaborative writing asynchronously. And also this history records. This is very, very helpful because when you check these history records, you see who did what, which time, who made changes, who deleted something, who added something, right? So for example, the red text refers to the texts that were deleted, and the green text refers to those which were added. So that is very helpful. So very briefly, our results show that the patterns of interaction definitely are associated with their writing qualities. So for example, group 1 and group 2 actually demonstrated the collaborative pattern. So their products are, of course, better than those produced by group 3 and group 4. For example, you can see the coherence break here. Group 3 and group 4, which do not collaborate quite well, actually produced the quality, the writings with the higher instances of coherence breaks, right? So here, in terms of the accuracy, like a group 4, which demonstrated the cooperative in parallel, and the accuracy is really, really very low, right? So actually, you can see compared with other groups, the others are accurate, than this one. So more accurate than this one. So as you can tell here, so we basically believe there is a association between the patterns of interaction and the writing product. The second research study came from my former doctoral student, now Dr. Akato from the our own university, Texas A&M Commerce, and she conducted this study with elementary French students. So the students are required to create the postcard creation in pairs. So the research questions we addressed are: how do the French as a foreign language learners view the benefits and challenges of collaborative multimodal writing? And what factors do French as a foreign language learners perceive as mediating their writing processes? Then we collected data from post-task questionnaire survey and a semi-structured individual interviews. So this is a postcard created on Google Docs. So you can see the students get a chance to use multiple semiotic resources, right? Such as these beautiful visuals, the images, and also the texts for sure, and well as some hyperlinks. Now this is the Google Doc collaboration. So very similar to Wiki. You can see the Google Docs gives the students the chance to collaborate very easily, right? So as you can tell here, the students did which contribution, which time, at which specific time. It's very clear here, right? Also, you can see the involvement of the products, like the deletion here, some adding, it's very, very clear. And here I want to mention a very important tool here that is a very small app called DocuWiz, embedded in the Google Docs. So the DocuWiz, didn't catch the wide attention, but in our study, we realized, oh, that is very helpful, because if you embed this DocuWiz in the Google Docs, you can see such good visuals, right? So for instance, if you take a look at this 2 students participation, I see, it is very clear how many characters does each of the participants contributed, right? So that is to say, it's easier for us to assess the students' equality, their participation and contribution to the products. So also you can see how this product actually was actually contributed by two sides, right? So for example, the students indicated in blue seems like had a consistent and persistent participation, but this student with the orange seems to increasingly participate toward the end of the project. Okay, so here are the results. Overall, the students have a very positive feedback on the computer-mediated collaborative writing. They enjoyed working with partners on this collaborative project. They feel motivated to write more than they originally would in a French class. And also, they find the Google Docs are very helpful for this collaborative multimodal writing project. They also conveyed some challenges. For example, they feel there are some tensions with peers due to unequal participation, and the students might lack confidence in the foreign language skills, the writing skills as well. And also there are some technical glitches. Okay, taken together, here are some pedagogical insights. First of all, in computer-mediated collaborative writing, meaning-focused tasks are actually really predominant. So that is to say, we want the students to be exposed to the authentic tasks in the language classrooms. And secondly, multimodal collaborative writing tasks will be a trend in second language classes. And then we know there will be a happy marriage between collaborative writing and digital multimodal writing. And if you want to do collaborative writing, you should carefully consider grouping. So for example, the size of the group, second language proficiency level, and their first language and cultural background. All of these should be considered. And also, well-structured training is important. We should train students not only how to use technology, but also how to use technology to collaborate during the whole process. And also, we want to consider the writing process in our assessment. So that is to say, we not only just focus on their writing products, we can assign a certain portion of the points to the writing products, to the writing task. For example, like 20%, right? So focus on the students' collaborative writing process. So we'll actually gauge those in terms of the equality and the mutuality of their interaction. And this can be reflected in their final score. Okay, the next is computer-mediated peer response, CMPR. So this is an online peer review in which students provide feedback on their peers' writing using asynchronous or synchronous CMC tools. So it has a lot of benefits because usually peer response enhances the sense of audience and also enhances the students' learner autonomy and collaborative learning and facilitate their language development. Here, I want to point out the importance of computer-mediated peer response. Usually, it is delivered in a non-threatening or less threatening environment. It can foster the students' more participation, particularly with pseudonyms. Students tend to provide more honest and critical comments. So as we know, in a face-to-face setting, you feel like, oh, I have to save others' face. I cannot say something that is actually not so good, right? But during the asynchronous setting in, computer-mediated peer response, especially with the pseudonym, the students tend to have a lot of critical comments. Okay, that is good. And the next one is the writers also objectively assess the reviewer's feedback. Some research strands explored in the current body of literature include different modes of peer feedback, such as the electronic peer feedback versus face-to-face peer feedback, synchronous CMC feedback versus asynchronous CMC feedback, and also impact of CMPR, peer interaction and group dynamics, students' perceptions, peer feedback training, and factors influencing CMPR. Now, here is a study I want to share with you. This is a study I conducted with my colleague, former colleague at Georgia Southern University. So there are a total of 26 students enrolled in 2 sections of English composition class participating in this study. We addressed 2 research questions. What different areas do the students comment when they provide Turnitin-based peer feedback in the mainstream class and the ELCL class? And how do the mainstream class and the ELCL class perceive the use of Turnitin for peer review? So we connected data such as the students' feedback, their drafts and the feedback, and also we connected their perception data from the survey as well as follow-up interviews. So here is what the peer mark looks like. So it is very neat. See, you can see the commenting tools, the composition marks, and then we give them the guiding questions for them to answer. So that is very helpful. And so, for example, in terms of the commenting tool, you can see they can use the commenting icon, or they can use the comments overlaid on the paper. So here are the results. We are very happy to see that students actually attended to not only the global issues, but also local issues. And also, we can tell that students really focus more on the revision-oriented feedback rather than the long revision-oriented feedback. So, of course, that is very beneficial for the students' learning. So we have a majority, over 95%, feedback focused on the students' revision, how they can revise their paper. Then in terms of the perception, it's a little bit different here. You can see group 1, class 1, those are mainstream students. Those are the native, English speakers. And then they have really very high positive, feedback. So 4.55 out of 5. But for the ELCL learners, they actually have the 3.925 out of 5. So you can tell the ELCL students have less positive feedback on the, Turnitin peer mark activity. However, they show very, very, high and positive feedback on the peer mark questions because they feel those questions are guiding them, scaffold them during the peer review activity. So in terms of the advantages, you can see students believe they provide more constructive feedback. They learn the new writing perspectives. They help their own writing as well. And also they try to address the language-related issues. In terms of the constraints, for example, there are some technical glitches, and some students mentioned that the composition marks are not enough, and then they want the synchronous communication as well. So, taken together, we can see these are the pedagogical implications. We want to give the students the training. So that is to say, well-trained technology, well-structured technology training is important, including the video tutorials, followed with the trial peer review sessions, testing out the multiple functions. And also, we want to teach them how to write appropriate and constructive comments. So for example, remember I mentioned that the students feel, see, this is not face-to-face, and they tend to have very critical feedback, but actually maybe they feel like the students, when they read the feedback, feel, oh, they are really not polite, right? So we are trying to let them to use their pragmatic knowledge and take advantages of emoticons, such as, these important features in online setting. And also, we can assess students' performance by assigning a portion of points to the subtasks. So we don't want to just throw the task to them. We tell them your peer review activity will be, of course, assessed according to these rubrics. So that would be motivating for them. Also, we want to embed the chatting tool as well. Remember, the asynchronous tool is not enough. So sometimes students want to just have a face-to-face communication or just a synchronous communication. That's okay. We can try to just complement this. Next one, we want to have a follow-up activities. For example, we can, of course, have peer reviewers discuss the comments with the writer synchronously. Also, we instructors can hold the individual conferences for the students to, discuss the peer feedback with us. And the last one, the last area is computer-mediated teacher feedback. So here I want to focus on the multimodal feedback. So teachers' online feedback usually refers to the delivery of feedback on student writing using technology tools. I know almost every teacher now use the asynchronous feedback using technology, right? So for example, we provide feedback on the Google Docs, right? And this is very popular now because the asynchronous teacher feedback has positive effect on the language and writing development. And now the synchronous CMC actually, catches our attention. And this adds a sense of presence and democracy to the second language writing classrooms. And we can see that more and more researchers and instructors consider the teacher multimodal feedback now. So for instance, we use the screencast-o-matic with our online students in a TESOL program. So later I will share with you the study. It caters to the students of auditory and visual learning style. And also it enhances the teacher's social presence. Like the personal, it becomes very personal. Students feel very engaging, right? And especially for the second language learners, they feel, see, this screencast feedback can give them a chance to practice their listening as well. So these are the research strands: the nature of teacher feedback, the student uptake of feedback, how the students incorporate teachers' feedback into their revision, and then the perceptions, the teacher's perceptions as well as the students' perceptions, and the effect of feedback on the language and writing development. So here in the study, I want to share with you with my colleague, say Dr. Dongmei Chen at Texas A&M Commerce. So here we have 54 students enrolled in an online graduate level TESOL methods class. So we addressed the following 3 questions. How did the screencast video feedback and the text-only feedback compare in terms of the categories of comments? How did the students incorporate the teacher feedback into their revision? And what are the students' perceptions of screencast video feedback compared with text-only feedback? So we connected the instructor's recording and the instructor's written comments on the Word, Word document. And also we collected the students' lesson plans and a shorter survey with the students. So here you can tell, see, this is a screencast-o-matic look like. It's very neat. When you do the recording, you can have the webcam and also you can have the screen, right? So you show the screen, you show what specific comments you have already on their document, and also you actually record your face here as well. As the students play the feedback, they will see a lot of outside resources that is very helpful. For example, in our class, the students learn how to cite using APA style. Most of them are not familiar with it. So during the feedback session, when we do the screencast video feedback, we show them the outside resources. For example, we use the Purdue Hour, right? In this case, they say, this is exactly how you cite this specific, articles. So this is the way that we guide them to go through all these learning materials together during this, screencast video feedback. So a little bit about our results. So basically you can tell they actually are very helpful because the screencast video feedback generated more successful revisions, like the organization, content, and the documentation, especially the documentation style. Students incorporate much more feedback because they understand our screencast video feedback better. However, interestingly, we found the students actually found the text only comments are more helpful for them to revise their grammar and language use, right? So again, there are some advantages and disadvantages of the 2 different modes of feedback. We definitely want to, have a good balance and judging, from the students and, say styles and the, course goals as well as the students' expectations. Okay. So basically, again, screencasts are very helpful because they give thorough feedback. It enhances the social presence, and of course, it enhances the comprehensibility. And some students even feel like, oh, that is like a role model. The teachers actually do the screencast feedback, such a successful experience. I want to do it with my students. So students, by the way, all students are in-service teachers. They feel like they want to use the screencast video feedback with their students in their own classes. However, text feedback are more convenient, and of course, they feel like sometimes it's inefficient. So the pedagogical insights, the teachers need to aim at collaboratively and intentionally accomplish the feedback tasks, and let the students become the active agents in charge of their own learning. And the screencast video feedback has advantages in helping students improve content, organization, and documentation styles. It's particularly helpful for the online learning because it increases social presence, it increases students' motivation. And also, we want to prioritize what to record in the video, right? So, for example, sometimes we should have the brief, written note highlighting what are the important points we want to say in the screencast video. And we, of course, want to explore all the different technologies there and figure out what is the most appropriate tool based on the course goals and the features of the writing assignments. And lastly, here are the reflections and a conclusion. I believe in the digital age, we have multiple new directions, such as DMC, computer-mediated collaborative writing, and writing feedback, and technology-assisted writing assessment. And also, I would say, we will definitely believe research and practice on second language writing technology will continue to blossom due to the AI growing and wide accessibility to technology. Okay, if you want to learn more about how to incorporate the technology into the writing classes in the digital age, you can refer to my recent publication, Researching and Teaching Second Language Writing in the Digital Age. That's all. Thank you for your participation, and I am happy to take whatever questions.
Thank you so much. That was fascinating. And now I am adding your book to my to-be-read list.
Thank you. Hope it is helpful.
So I invite others of you, if you would like to put a question in the chat or to unmute and ask. And while you do that, I'll get us started. So I loved that you talked about the fact that meaning-focused tasks seemed more effective than form-focused tasks. And one issue that I find sometimes with teacher trainees is that it's hard for them to grasp what does it really mean to have a meaning-focused task. So can you give us several examples of a meaning-focused task that is helpful and effective in this way versus a form-focused task?
Sure. This is an excellent question. To be honest, I do not really believe this form should not, be that effective. But basically, I would say depends on the students, definitely the proficiency levels, right? And think about the goals, course goals. So let me give you two examples which are definitely helpful. Firstly, I would say usually in the computer-mediated collaborative writing or some other writing tasks, students feel that is really motivating for them if we do something that is engaging and particularly geared toward their authentic environment, right? So that is, of course, they focus on meaning. For example, in my, say infographic study, right? So students do the infographics because they will show them. For example, some students say like, I show my infographics to my families about how to, prevent the COVID-19. And they feel so excited. They feel like, they develop a community and they feel like their knowledge are actually communicated quite well with their audience, of course, their families, their friends, or even their patients in a very accessible way, right? So that is to say it is very helpful. However, I would say it might not be really helpful for those students who have very, very low second language proficiency level. So for instance, if you really want to test students, use writing as a tool to learn. Remember, there are two approaches in writing: learn to write versus write to learn, right? So in this case, if you really want to have the students write in order to the second language, I would believe the form focus would be super helpful as well. For example, we have the traditional, form-focused tasks such as digloss, right? The digloss goes like, okay, I will read the certain, say passage, and then you just listen to it, and then you represent what you learned, what you hear, right? We just focus on the language issues. That is very helpful. But our finding goes like in a computer-mediated collaborative task, it seems not so common because maybe it is not so helpful using technology to do this really the form-focused tasks. Does it make sense? So again, I cherish both values, right? I cherish the meaning-focused and the form-focused. But again, focus on the students' proficiency level, focus on the characteristics of the course goals.
Okay. Now, you also have a question in the Whova chat. So someone asked, how can I deliver more meaningful written feedback without overwhelming students?
Oh, that's a good question. Basically, I would say we never want to have a lot of corrections, right? So on students' feedback, on a student's paper. Usually we say we want to have the focused feedback. We want to do analysis before we send our feedback to the students. So basically, I actually train our students. You really want to do the certain types of error analysis. You find out the trends. You find out the patterns. What specific, say grammatical errors students tend to always make, and also you want to, of course, avoid the mistakes in the future. Then you give them this specific analysis. In terms of the error analysis, you show the frequency levels, say frequency counts, and then you really do touch upon several or few, rather than just whatever, say mistakes you point out. That will be definitely not effective. Again, you should have focused feedback based on your own analysis of this paper. But meanwhile, in addition to the language errors, you also want to focus on the content, organization, and on some, say genre knowledge as well, right? Again, it actually depends on the, the goals of the course and the specifics, right? So never do whatever corrections, say you have for students, and then that is not so helpful. But anyway, focus on a few, and what is the most important. Just try to prioritize. Again, try to prioritize. Maybe this time we focus on these specific issues. Maybe after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you focus on something else. Students actually gradually acquire.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know, can you see the Zoom chat? You have a couple comments from Francisco commenting on some things they've been attempting in their classroom.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's wonderful. That's good. So, may I know the setting? Is this for K-12 setting or it is a higher education?
No, ma'am. I'm a middle school ESL teacher, so I'm
Wow,
working
that's exciting.
with newcomers and long-term ELs.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because we just feel like, oh, so much research studies really focus on our higher education. That is exciting. That is exciting. I would be happy to, just to see, maybe you can do some, kind of short paper, short communications in a, say peer-reviewed journal, and the whole community will benefit from it, because we are really feel that a lot of research are conducted in higher education, and we desperately need these settings, in the K-12, classrooms. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, everybody. We're out of time so that everybody has a break before they go to their next session. Mimi, I've had one more question, and that was that someone asked if it's possible for you to share your slides so that they can access them after. If you want to, I'll put my email in the chat for you. If you want to just email them to me, then I will see if we can get those posted for you.
Yeah, I know it's a ton of information there, so I feel like really just a busy work there. If I didn't elaborate clearly, just send me a message. Okay, now this is actually something I would draw your attention, everybody. If you are interested in our fully online PhD program and fully online MA program, you definitely want to talk with Ms. Amanda Grant in the exhibitor showcase. So that is, you go to your Hoover and then you go to communities. Then there is a exhibitor showcase, and we have Texas, commerce, Texas A&M commerce. We can communicate. You can definitely communicate. We have fully online PhD program. We are very, very happy to just get it launched. Thank you, everybody.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the sessions. You have about 13 minutes until your next session. So go grab some coffee, stretch your legs, and we'll see you at 10:30.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. That was a
everybody.
great presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. So your email, please.
I put it as a direct message, but it might have gotten lost. Let me type it in there again, because you were having a lot of people say thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see it now?
Oh, yeah, got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Sure. Bye.
Bye.